The Republic of Sudan isn't just cracking, it is crumbling into dust before our eyes. 2 years into a war that feels like a never-ending apocalypse.
2 years ago, a brutal war broke out in Sudan.
Nearly 13 million souls have been chased from their homes, scattered across deserts, borders, and barbed wire refugee camps. Some never made it. According to a grim estimate from aid agencies, over 150,000 people have died, whether by bullets, bombs, starvation, or sickness. And if you're waiting for the violence to end, you might want to sit down. This is no short war. It is a slow-motion national funeral. Meanwhile, the global community keeps organizing urgent crisis meetings, essentially group therapy sessions with snacks.
Let me be clear, the UK will not forget Sudan.
While the blood continues to spill. Superpowers have picked their dance partners in this grim tango. Kenya's President William Ruto has openly thrown his weight behind the RSF militia. Welcome to your other home. The rest of the diplomatic world, trying to look noble in the chaos, has lined up behind Sudan's military regime. But at the heart of this madness lies two men, once comrades, now bitter enemies. Hamdan Dagalo, the leader of the RSF, and Burhan, the head of Sudan's military, are the names etched in history for dragging their beloved country into this deadly quagmire. But how did it come to this? How did these two friends turn enemies so powerful that they now have Sudan and its people on their knees? Let's rewind. It all began in 2019, a year that would rewrite Sudan's power script. Abdel Fattah al-Burhan was your textbook career general, stoic, calculated, and fluent in bureaucracies. Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, better known as Hemedti, was a wild card, a former camel trader turned militia boss who led the RSF, a brutal paramilitary gang turned private army handpicked by Bashir himself to do the dirty works he couldn't pin on the military. While Burhan played general in the army's clean corridors, Hemedti was knee-deep in the mud, blood and smoke, crushing protests, chasing rebels, and renting out Sudanese fighters to the Saudi-led coalition in Yemen. Bashir loved him for it, and Hemedti climbed fast, driven not by ideology, but gold, guns, and raw ambitions. But by 2018, Sudan was a pressure cooker with a broken thermostat. Decades of economic mismanagement, US sanctions, and spectacular corruption had brought the nation to its knees. Bread prices tripled, fuel evaporated, cash was a ghost. The streets ignited in rage, led by the youth, professionals, and women who refused to be gagged anymore. What began as a revolt over bread morphed into a full-blown uprising against Bashir's rule. Sit-ins mushroomed across the country, including the now iconic one outside the army headquarters in Khartoum. The Sudanese Professionals Association and other civil groups fanned the flames of resistance. Bashir, on the other side, ever the tyrant, reached for his old tricks, ordering his military to crush the protest. But this time, the trigger fingers froze. Army ranks and file refused to fire on their fellow citizens. The writings were on the wall, and even Sudan's power brokers knew the show was over. Sensing a sinking ship, Burhan, who had maintained just enough distance from Bashir's filth to appear presentable, stepped forward. On April 11, 2019, the military arrested Bashir, and a transitional military council was announced.
I declare, being the Minister of Defense and the chairman of the committee, to get rid of this regime and to arrest the head of the regime in a safe place. I also declare the formation of a military transitional council to supervise the 2-year period.
And just like that, Burhan, formerly a background general, was suddenly the man of the hour. Hemedti on the other side, watching his old boss fall like a deflated balloon, didn't waste a second. He ditched Bashir and cozied up to Burhan, securing a seat as Burhan's deputy in the newly formed Sovereign Council, a military-civilian mashup born out of protest pressure and international mediation.
إدارة شؤون البلاد حتى موعد الانتخابات حكومة من كفاءات وطنية مستغلة يراعى في تشكيل هياكلها.
But don't be fooled. This wasn't a bromance. It was a forced marriage, a tense, mistrustful arrangement between two men who both wanted the crown. While Burhan leaned into the old guard, relying on the formal army, dusty bureaucracy, and diplomatic handshakes, Hemedti was building an empire of his own. With rivers of gold flowing from Darfur mines he controlled, Hemedti expanded the RSF, paid his fighters directly, and began forging international alliances that bypassed the Sudanese state entirely. He wasn't just arming up, he was marketing himself. To the UAE, he was a partner in gold. To the Saudis, a battlefield subcontractor. To Russia, a potential client training his RSF troops with help from the infamous Wagner Group. At the Sudanese public, a rebranded populist hero. As the former camel trader reinvented himself as a man of the people, launching a civilian wing of the RSF and flooding social media with propaganda, painting him as Sudan's protector, not its predator. But Burhan wasn't oblivious. Behind the soft smiles and staged photos, the tension was boiling.
We have nothing to say to them. And now is not the time for talks.
Their rivalry sharpened by 2021. That October, both men joined forces in a brazen military coup, tossing out Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok and dealing a death blow to Sudan's fledgling democratic hopes.
The president of the Transitional Military Council has just issued a constitutional decree establishing the Sovereignty Council.
It was a grim alliance, two crocodiles sharing a pond, waiting to devour the other. Then came the breaking point, the integration plan. As part of the civilian transition agreement, the RSF was supposed to merge with the regular army. Burhan demanded a swift integration within 2 years. Military command, clear hierarchy, game over. Hemedti on the other side, he wanted 10 years to delay, outmaneuver, and protect his group. For him, merging meant suicide. The gold mines, the fighters, the autonomy gone.
We have nothing to say to them. And now is not the time for talks. We are dedicating all our time to this war. We are dedicating it to ending this rebellion.
Talks collapsed, trust vanished. Each side mobilized, stockpiling weapons and preparing for war. Sudanese cities braced as armed deployments surged. And then it happened. April 15th, 2023, the first bullet went off. Sudan's capital woke up to explosions. The RSF launched simultaneous assaults on military bases across Khartoum, Merowe, and beyond. Hemedti claimed it was self-defense, accusing Burhan of plotting to annihilate the RSF. Burhan fired back, branding Hemedti a traitor and vowing retribution.
We are focusing on ending this period and coming out of it stronger, steadfast, and with our heads held high.
Now what followed was urban warfare in hell's own image. Jets roared overhead, artillery shook the ground, streets once filled with protest songs now rang with gunfire. Civilians were trapped, desperate and starving. Hospitals were shelled. Embassies evacuated in panic. Foreign nations scrambled to rescue their citizens as Khartoum became a battlefield. Neither side won decisively. The RSF dug in, embedding itself in neighborhoods and critical infrastructure. The army counterattacked from the skies, but with every missile strike came civilian casualties. Sudan was bleeding, and its leaders were the ones wielding the knife. Hemedti didn't need Burhan state's machinery. He was self-made in the warlord sense of the word. Reports revealed he controlled Sudan's richest gold mines, primarily in Darfur, giving him a private war chest big enough to fund a shadow state. He bought weapons on the black market, paid his men in cash, kept foreign allies sweet. Even Kenya's President Ruto dropped subtle hints of support. The UAE accused of funneling money in exchange for gold. Russia, still lacking in the wings, Wagner style, and Hemedti kept campaigning online and on the ground, casting himself as the only hope for a new Sudan. Meanwhile, Burhan clung to the skeleton of the old state, weakened by sanction, empty coffers, and fickle international backing.
Who are Sudan's enemies?
Many countries remain silent and turn a blind eye to the crimes being committed every day. Everyone who remains silent and everyone who supports what the other side is doing on a daily basis is definitely an enemy.
Egypt supported him half-heartedly. Everyone else watched with crossed arms.
Everyone who supports the Sudanese state and its institutions is a friend.
By 2025, the split was official. The RSF declared its own government, the government of peace and unity, a name only a warlord could say with a straight face. Hemedti's militia now runs Darfur and maintains a grip on parts of West and North Kordofan. As for Burhan, he is operating out of the port of Sudan, reduced to a coastal general with no capital, no cohesion, and increasingly no country. This isn't just a clash of egos, it is a brutal battle between two visions of power. One steeped in state uniforms and military tradition, the other forged in the fires of militia opportunism and foreign gold. Both stained with blood, neither offering peace, and as the war drags on, Sudan's revolution lies in ruins. It is democracy derailed, its people displaced, starved and slaughtered, until one general falls or both are buried by history. Sudan's nightmare has no end in sight.